are charged. And for those who don't get roster number, or you get different where citizens act with transparency and integrity in all their dealings.
Integrity Watch radio program.
Good morning. It's good to be on your radio with the program Integrity Watch. Integrity Watch is a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is aired every Wednesday on Truth 96.1 FM. It runs from 11 to 12 noon and is repeated on Sunday from 9 to 10 p.m. It is the primary radio-based communication and information dissemination platform of Central. It is a key advocacy tool that provides essential information around the state of the fight against corruption, national integrity building efforts, as well as promotes the culture of accountability, transparency, integrity, and evidence-based decision-making across all sectors of Liberia. Under Center's National Integrity Building Anti-Corruption Program, funded by the government and people of Sweden, through the Swedish International Development Corporation Agency, or SIDA, the radio program serves as an engagement, coordination, and advocacy platform that rallies citizens and other stakeholder support for the fight against corruption and bad governance. As part of this program, Center has established the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center known as LACC. So the LACC is an independent platform that enables citizens to freely report and seek redress of corruption and other integrity-related issues within their communities, counties, and the country at large. There is a team of professionals at LACC, including lawyers who are ready and willing to respond to whatever complaint you may file. So we encourage our citizens to take advantage of this process so that we all can join the fight against corruption in Liberia. As we have said times without number, the fight against corruption requires all of us, wherever you find yourself, private, public, school, market, wherever you are. We must all decide and make effort to make this country a better place. No one else will do it except you and me. So there are different means. We encourage you to contact our Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. We have the email address. The address is alac@cental.org.lr. It's spelled ALAC@cental.org.lr. The Facebook address is Cental LACC. It's spelled CENTALALAC, all in uppercase. The hotline number is just 4432. 4432. That's the hotline number. So you're using Orange, you're using Lone Star, you can call the number. It's free of charge. So you can call at any point in time. You'll have somebody to attend to your call. Center is located just opposite the John F. Kennedy Medical Center in Sinker, 22nd Street to be exact. And you can just come over and interact with our people. You need access to information. We can help you. We need legal advice. We can help you. Whatever way we can help to make this country better, we are open and willing to help in that direction. So please do not hesitate. All you need to do is just call 4432 and have basic facts to provide. Or you can visit our offices on 22nd Street, opposite GFK, like I said. The Integrity Watch radio program is very civil and informative with zero tolerance on the use of invectives and other denigrating comments. So when guests appear on this platform, they are guided by this rule. So today is Wednesday, December 7, 2022, and this edition of the program is playing host to the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. Specifically in studio today, we have our Reverend James Kingsley. He is program manager at the Department of
Education
Education
and Prevention.
and Prevention at the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. So we have come today to talk specifically about ongoing activities commemorating this year's International Anti-Corruption Day. But before we go to our guests, let us just go to little things that matter quickly, and then let's just give you a little update about the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. So yesterday was one of the historic days in the life of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. We launched the State of Corruption report in Liberia. So Center is an evidence-based civil society organization. So what we do, all of our advocacy are informed by research. So we conduct research periodically on different things regarding accountability. So this specifically under our National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, we have different activities, and the state of corruption is one of the activities. So we conduct research on the state of corruption in Liberia. So we compile that, and then we released the report on yesterday. So I mean, there were a lot of people, the British Embassy, the U.S. Embassy, through USAID, the Swedish government, to the ambassador. I mean, the list government official, the NIF representatives were all there. The NIF is the National Integrity Forum. So they were all there represented so that we can have this done. I mean, it was so the Ministry of Justice were also in attendance. I mean, it was so great yesterday, and there were a lot of remarks. And I mean, the ambassadors and the international communities, they are rallying Liberians. I mean, they are aware that it is not possible for one segment of the country to deal with the issue about corruption. So I mean, it is just something that we all must just come together and be able to tackle this issue about corruption in our country. So they are rallying Liberians and the government. One thing the ambassador said, Liberia deserves a strong anti-corruption commission. That statement is sunk deep in my heart because the ups and downs regarding the LACC, I mean, this is too much. The interferences are too much. There are different ways people can interfere into the work of anti-graft institutions, and we see those things happening in Liberia. Either they hold your budget, or they reduce your budget. They strangulate you financially. You're not able to operate as you're supposed to be. They either pass laws that will twist your arm, and you cannot fight, and then people take you to be a toothless bulldog. And there are different ways government can do it, like we have it in the case of the LACC. The LACC now, they say, okay, we grant you prosecutorial power. Too many politics in that. Let me just leave that. I'll come to that another time. We'll take an entire time to just talk about it. We've been talking about it, but we still need to talk about it. Even though the matter is in court, which is not good for when matters are in court for us to talk about. That is the reason why I just want to stick on it, to talk about it. We still have our position that that particular law is a bylaw. And we still maintain the issues that we raised. We talk about them in our statement that we issue at that time, and we still maintain the position today. Still maintain that. But let's leave that. Let's leave it to the court and see what happens. But I mean, I was just talking about the statements that were made yesterday, and then one of the statements from the ambassador talked about ensuring that there be a strong anti-corruption commission in Liberia. We must ensure that all of us work together. The government must show that will. As it stands, the president and the government, they are weak on the issue about corruption. The president has not shown no political will. Rather, the president has been undermining the fight against corruption in Liberia. So, I mean, we can say that with boldness, and we can say that with facts. So, we released a report yesterday, and 90% of the people we interviewed 818, the sample size, 818, and we covered 9 counties. Of the people we interviewed, 90%, meaning 10, when you put 10% together, you ask them, what you think about corruption in Liberia? They tell us corruption is high in Liberia. And you know why they said it? Let me just give you quick information on what the people said and why they said those things. So, have the corruption level in Liberia. So they said corruption remains high in Liberia. This, in 2021, we issued the first state of corruption report was the same thing. 90% of the people we interviewed said corruption was high in Liberia. And then those who think that there are others, we asked them the question about the other people who think that corruption was moderate. I mean, it's not very high, it's not very low, but it's somewhere in between that. Frenchmen say come see. So it's somewhere in between there. It's not good, it's not bad, but it's there. They say that 8% of the people we talk to, they say corruption is just come see, come sa. It's not bad, it's not to do. Then other people say corruption is low. 2% say corruption is low in Liberia. Then, like I said, we'll take time this next week. The entire next week, we're going to be talking about this report. We're going to bring guests in here so we can talk about the report. And then we ask them, why you think corruption is high? Why? Why you say corruption high? Yes, you say corruption high. Why you think so? You see what we've been talking? This is why people say 39% of the people say because of rampant allegations of corruption in Liberia. Rampant allegations of corruption all over the place. The other person stole the other million. They go with impunity. The other one stole the other million. They go with impunity. We still have our health centers without drugs. We still have our roads are deplorables. Road funds are being squandered and corrupted by greedy-minded individuals. But they go with impunity. But yet, the people are saying rampant allegations of corruption. But you listen to the lazy argument for people. They sit on radio, they sit on national platform, and they accuse past government of being corrupt, and they sit there and doing nothing about it. You are an accomplice. You too, you are a rogue. If you saw somebody stealing and you have the capacity to make sure that that person pays for what they did, and you didn't do that, you too are a rogue. So don't sit on any platform and say people were corrupt when you have the capacity to make sure that you put them in jail, you confiscate the properties that they allege that they have, and you prosecute them, take those money, those resources, and put it into a health center, take those resources and put it into education, and make our educational sector better, make our health center better. Then you sit on radio and say the people were corrupt. And so what? And you have come, you stop it. Don't do that. Sometimes we are pushed, but I mean, we just have to remain where we are. Then let's go. There are other people who think that corruption is high. They cited lack of prosecution. You see there, people are accused. They don't go anywhere. The allegation just comes up. The next day, look at what happened with the president in the president's office. Makini Keita, she got accused. The LACC that has investigators, we pay these people. We give money to them. They were trained to do investigation on corruption matter. You took it and give it to your I mean, that's your decision. But the legal advisor took it and sent it to LMP. Wow. LMP said the woman clear. Well, that's it. Say the woman clear. All allegations against her, she clear. That's it. And the next one, we came back, we say, oh, the passport issue. They investigated, they report with the president right now. Nothing coming out of it. Business as usual. We will do this over and over again, and we expect that we're going to have different results. No different result will come unless you, the president of Liberia, decide to stand tough like your other colleagues in other countries are doing, and they are taking tougher decisions to make sure that they make their country better. If you do that, that's the only way our country is going to be better. But if you continue to cover up, you continue to make sure that when people are accused, you sweep the matters under the carpet, we will continue to find ourselves to where we are. People be dying of curable illnesses at JFK, at Redemption Hospital, at different No drop-in hospital. Jackson FDO Hospital is there. Very big infrastructure. Those infrastructures are all there. We're building different health centers. What benefit is going to have when we can support the ones that are already in existence. We don't strengthen the one that are already in existence. We're building some in Bapolu. What benefit is going to have if we can make sure that the ones we already have, we sustain them, make them vibrant, and then we add other ones to it. I mean, those developments will just be meaningless if we can sustain the one we already have. Thank you. I mean, like I said, we're going to discuss the report in detail, so let me just leave it at one for us. So we'll have little time to talk to our guests. So let me just leave it at that, and yeah. So and then we the existing activism ongoing rather. So we have different activities. We started it since last week with different activities, and then tomorrow is going to be the camper-based activity. We're going to be doing that tomorrow, and we had the online discussion with panels and other things we did. So I mean, that's what we are doing. Just the update, and let me just slip and speak to the president. Good morning, Your Excellency. I already spoken to you. I mean, whatever we said, we directed that to you and your cabinet ministers and the government. So please make sure you take action. The recommendations in these reports, we hope that they're going to. And one thing the ambassadors said yesterday, the U.S. embassy, they said they have used Center report. They've been using it, and this one, they're going to take it, they're going to use it to make sure that they take actions. So if you don't work, the other people looking at it, they will take it, they will use it, and you will be compelled to be subjected to it. You saw what happened. You were compelled to do what you're supposed to do. When you had the opportunity to do it, you reneged on it. The people have to compel you to do it, and you have to do it. So now we release the other one. People say, we'll take it, we'll use it. If your government can use it, we'll use it. So we're already done it. Thank you so much. Let's take a break so that we can go to our guests. I mean, sometimes too many things to talk about, but let's just take a very, very short break, and then we'll come back. We go over to our guests. Like we said, we have in studio Mr. James Kingsley. He's the program manager at the Education and Prevention Division at the the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. So we're going to be talking to him today about the upcoming International Anti-Corruption Day programs that are ongoing already. But let's take a very, very short break and then settle in, and then we'll come back. We go over for our discussion. Let's take a break. Good morning, welcome back. And if you are just joining us, the program you are in tune to is called Integrity Watch. It's a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is aired every Wednesday on Truth 96.1 FM, and is repeated on Sundays from 9 to 10 p.m. So today we've come in studio to talk about the upcoming International Anti-Corruption Day. So every year, the International Anti-Corruption Day was set aside to be celebrated annually by countries around the world, to commemorate International Anti-Corruption Day. So this year, usually it is the LACC that takes the lead, with, organizing programs and activities to commemorate the day. So this year, there are different activities that are ongoing. So we brought in studio the programs manager at the Education and Prevention Division at the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, so that we talk about what are those activities that are ongoing. So Reverend James Kingsley is the one in studio today as our guest. Welcome to studio.
Thank you, Sam. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you? How's the family doing?
We thank God.
Okay. How's the LACC?
The LACC is vibrant.
Okay, it's vibrant.
It is.
Okay. Let's go to business. What's happening? What are you doing? What are the activities you have going on now?
Programs
Yeah.
earmarked for the celebration
Yeah,
of
sure.
International Anti-Corruption Day.
Yeah.
Got underway on Monday,
Okay.
and we began on Monday and continued yesterday, and we are continuing today. As a matter of fact, we started with the street blast.
Mhm.
Anti-corruption street blast.
Okay.
We had a musical instrument playing right at our offices,
Okay.
and then we gave out anti-corruption, stickers. We appropriate anti-corruption messages, say no to corruption, your no counts, and we did that. It was very effective. And then yesterday we moved to the Bartown area in the middle of the road there.
Mhm.
We mounted our instrument and then did the same thing. We gave out about 300, almost 3,000, more than 3,000 flyers yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
Stickers yesterday, yes.
Okay.
And that was very impressive, And today we are holding an inter-university debate between the AME Zion University and the University of Liberia. That's why you see me alone here today. My team is based at the University of Liberia, making sure that they coordinate what goes on there today.
Okay.
And then tomorrow we'll be having a mini Olympic anti-corruption awareness through sports, bringing together 4 high schools. And then on Friday will be the main event where we bring together students from 10 high schools for a parade beginning at the SKD Boulevard,
Okay.
and marching on to the SKD Sports Complex, climaxing it with an indoor program at the gymnasium of the SKD Sports Complex, basketball gymnasium at the SKD Sports Complex.
Okay. Well, but why do we have all of these things going on? I thought it just December 9th, we just celebrate and then we go away. Why are we having all of these celebrations?
The emphasis is on December 9th,
Mm.
but you want to sustain the awareness for a period of time so that after the celebration you have some results. And that's why you see the way the program is planned is intended to address different stakeholders. For Monday, it was cross-cutting. If you drive in the traffic, you have marketeers, you have ordinary people, you have professional people, you have community people, and just the different spectrum of our society you can think about. We're able to engage them on Monday and Tuesday yesterday.
Okay.
And today specifically, we are focusing on college students.
Okay.
And what do they feel about the fight against corruption, particularly as it relates to the direct prosecutorial power of the LACC and the specialized anti-corruption code. We've been advocating for direct prosecutorial power, but the direct prosecutorial power is going to be, it's not going to have much dividends.
I want for us to go into detail into that, but I want, so after all of these things, you've done all of the celebration, so you talk about you want to achieve something specific. What do you want to achieve with all of these activities?
The overarching goal is that we want to get Liberians to begin to own the fight against corruption.
Okay.
And we were in the street yesterday, and it was so disappointing for people to tell us, "You think you're able to fight corruption?" And my answer to them was, "We can fight it together."
Why was it disappointing to you?
It was disappointing because people have developed the mindset that they cannot fight corruption. They cannot fight corruption. There are countries that were worse off than us. There are countries that battle with corruption. Take, for example, Rwanda. Rwanda today has become a shining example of national transformation. You know, so if we have the desire and the will to generate the necessary willpower, we can do away with corruption. One of the American, chief of mission who was here before, he said, David Park said David Park said there are more good people than bad people in Liberia. And so if we can continue to expand the horizon, the circumference, and the space for good people to thrive, eventually the Bible will have no option but to surrender.
The reason why I asked about why you felt discouraged, because the analogy is just simple. If you brought children up in a home, whatever you told them, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what it is, this is what is right, that's what they're going to come up with. So that's the mentality that has grown into us. We've been told by our leaders, generations after generation, that it is not possible to do this. Those who will want to do that, they will just be hitting their head. So what it requires, serious awareness, serious transformation, making sure that you emancipate the minds, total emancipation of the minds. That's what we need.
I do agree, but what we ought to know is that changes are taking place in governance, though slow. The free space we have today to discuss governance issues is not what we had around 1979.
I mean, I agree with that. I agree with that. But it was paid. It didn't come on platter. It didn't come on silver platter.
Of course,
it was fought for, and we got it. So it didn't come as a result of somebody just coming and say, "Oh, let me give it to you."
The point I'm saying is that somebody made a sacrifice and they broke through the iron ceiling. And so, in the fight against corruption, we are the progenitors. We are the ones who are putting our life on the line. Eventually, maybe history may not remember us. Those who might take after us might be the one who might be remembered. But the fact that we are laying this foundation, we have to be courageous and persevere enough to ensure that we lay the foundation upon which future generation can be able to build. To build a solid governance program that can be able to fight corruption consistently. Because this is human behavior you are dealing with. Until you begin you put in place the necessary framework to be able to address corruption will continue to thrive. For example, if we have punitive action for people who engage in corruption, of course it will have deterrent effect. Take, for example, if you were president, Mr. Zota, and one of your friends got corrupt, I usually say to people, when you went to your wife, you say, you know what, I'm going to jail this man. Give me the needs of this family. I'm going to provide all the needs. Your husband is going to go to jail. He's your friend, but you allow him to go to jail, disgracing. And maybe after a month or so, because he's your friend, or maybe some schoolmate or something, and you free him. But you know the lesson you've taught him? You've taught him that this is not our personal cover. And so even though we are friends, if you don't play according to the rule, the law will apply.
That is why at Central we have said consistently that that's why we've called for. We've called for the space and making sure that we deter the acts from being committed. But the will is seriously lacking, and the people take it or leave it. Leadership in Liberia, people look up to the leaders to be able to take steps, and they will follow. While the leaders are not taking steps, the leaders are doing it and they're going with impunity. It also encourages those who are down there to even get engaged into the
as an administration professional, you need two things in administration. First, you need policies, procedures, and laws to be able to effect changes or new program or draft a change management program. The second thing you need is the human element. You can have all of the laws, you can have all of the policy, but if they are not individual who have the ethics and the capacity to enforce and drive that change, it's not going to work. Laws don't implement themselves.
No, they don't.
Laws are implemented by people. So you know what's happening? The change is taking place gradually. We have advocated for almost 10 to 12 years talking about direct prosecutorial power, that we finally have direct prosecutorial power. This has emboldened us to push further that we have a specialized anti-corruption code. When we have the enabling legislation to fight corruption, then we'll move on to the court to begin to advocate for judicial efficacy so that the court becomes very robust in the way it adjudicates cases to ensure that it serves as it provides a deterrent effect so that people don't say, oh, why we're happy. No. When you cannot say the LACC is a toothless bulldog when we have the relevant laws to prosecute you, and when the court is cooperating with us to ensure that when you are found liable, you go to jail or you pay by whatever you stole.
But I mean, we are advocating for you to be empowered in all of these things to hold you accountable, but it will mean nothing if you, like, for instance, your report. You came out with a report and recommended individuals to the Ministry of Justice for probable indictment and prosecution. And since that time, what has happened?
No, but we've made some progress.
What progress?
The fact that we have direct prosecutorial power, we don't have to go to through the Ministry of Justice any longer. So you see that hurdle has been removed. We investigate our cases now and proceed to go directly. So what we need now, the partnership we need is the partnership between the LACC and the judiciary so that the judiciary can adjudicate cases without fear or favor, regardless of who you are, regardless of your political, economic connection. Those cases will be prosecuted on the merit of the evidence.
Okay, so let's go to the discussion, the point of discussion. Okay, you talk about the program, you talk about the debate that should be taking place today with the universities. You said
the topic for the debate is, can the prosecutorial power of the LACC be effective without a specialized anti-corruption code?
And then what's your view?
I think we need both.
Okay.
I think we need.
So without we
crafted that topic to generate a debate. One is to begin to popularize the prosecutorial power of the LACC that has already been granted by the legislature.
Okay.
We want to begin to popularize it so that LACC cannot sit by anymore and say, oh, we don't have direct prosecutorial power. We now need to own that law and begin to use it effectively. That's one side to it. But if we have direct prosecutorial power and the dockets of the courts are still crowded, it's not going to do us any good. So if you give us direct prosecutorial power and give us a specialized code, a code that is exclusively set aside to prosecute corruption cases, then you have given us a leeway.
But if you have...
So from January 1 to December 31st, the only cases that are tried in that code are corruption cases.
Okay. But I mean, it will also mean nothing if you have both the prosecutorial power, you have the specialized court, and you have a compromised chair. I mean, what
do you mean?
Compromise that someone who, unlike Clark Martin, who's very robust, making sure that people are investigated, they forwarded, recommended for prosecution and all of that. Somebody who will be called and say, man, you gotta let that thing go.
You cannot be a compromised chair of the LACC.
Why not?
The framework in place at the LACC is that you have 5 commissioners and you are only the chairperson. You are the first amongst equal, and decisions that are taken at the level of the body of commissioners, you have but 1 vote. So you cannot control the body.
But you have influencing power.
Yeah?
You have power to
influence. So if except you imply that all of the commissioners or majority of the commissioners at the LACC are compromised, but the chairperson cannot be compromised and effect any changes and a major influence at the LACC against the interests of the fight against corruption if you are alone. So it cannot happen. The framework that is in place is intended to ensure that there is you have exchange of ideas and people develop a consensus on a matter to vote.
Okay.
So even though you chairperson, you just want a more equal. You don't have that leverage.
The program you're listening to is called Integrity Watch. It's a 1 hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is aired every Wednesday on Truth 96.1 FM. It runs from 11 to 12 noon. Today we're talking about the ongoing activities marking the 2022 International Anti-Corruption Day. So there are different activities ongoing. They have the street blasts from different locations. You have debate with university students. You have tomorrow
Many
Olympic taking place. Program mission field, and then bringing together schools in the Painesville area. I mean, so that they
parade.
can, parade what?
Parade,
yeah,
street parade, and then
parade, and all of these things.
An indoor program at the gymnasium
on
Friday.
Yeah, so all of these things are intended to increase awareness around the fight against corruption in Liberia, and to send a message out to every Liberian. We must get involved with this process because it would not be realized. The efforts will not be realized if all of us don't get involved. So that is why, if you are out there, please make your way, be part of this. Let's make some earnest efforts toward changes in our lives. Let's not keep our minds sealed. We enslave ourselves to the mentality that it is not possible to fight corruption in Liberia. No, I'm not discouraged when you say that, but because that's what you've been taught, that's what you've been trained to, that's what you've been living with over the years. But we know that it is possible that you can change your mind. The changes of your mind, we can be able to reflect on the physical and make this country better. So let's open the line so that you can participate while we go on with the discussion. The number to call 077 0175162, 077 0175162. 077 0175162. That's the number to call to be live on the program Integrity Watch. We are live on Truth 96.1 FM, and we're talking about the programs marking the celebration of this year's International Anti-Corruption Day. So maybe we can just give a little background of how the day came about, how many member countries are part of this celebration, all of those.
The International Anti-Corruption Day came into effect by a UN resolution 58-4 of the UN Convention Against Corruption in 2003. And the convention has 188 state parties.
Okay.
So this tells us that we are part of a very broad network.
Okay.
As we are holding programs in Liberia to commemorate International Anti-Corruption Day, similar things are going on in Serbia, in Nigeria, and all across the globe. So people are involved in creating this awareness. The thing I want to indicate here is that it's interesting how we all go to school. We start from the ABC together, and then at some point in time, other people drop along. There were some people stop in 6th grade, some people stop in 9th grade, some people stop in 12th grade, some people go to college, get a first degree, some people second degree, some people third degree. So I don't want at the end of the day for it to be said that Liberia dropped along the way. Let us be one of the examples. Let's become a success story in this fight against corruption, so that other countries can begin to reference us in the fight against corruption. That would be something very pleasant, to tell our children in the future.
What do we need to do so that we can be referenced?
The first thing we need to do is to create this national consciousness in the fight against corruption. When I visited Singapore, I was going through a training, and this guy said to us, the fight against corruption was a fight of survival. We have no option but to fight corruption, defeat corruption, and get rid of it and survive as a nation, or allow corruption to thrive and we die as a nation.
Of course.
So they united themselves against corruption and they fought corruption. That is why Singapore, a small country, is about the size of Mandibey County. It's one of the most economically strong country on the continent, on the planet Earth, because they took a decision. They are national leaders took a decision way back in the 60s.
You see what I
in
told
the
you
70s.
about
And
leadership?
so they move up and lay the foundation for the success that their children are enjoying today.
That's what I said about leadership. Leadership plays very key role
It
in the
is.
fight
I
against
agree.
corruption.
I agree.
And I mean, we cannot do it if the leaders keep stabbing us in the back, keep undermining the efforts, and then we cannot succeed.
And one of the key things one of the key factors that was responsible for the success of Singapore in this corruption fight was effective law enforcement. Effective law enforcement.
Of course.
That means if you were guilty of corruption, you serve the penalty. Today, that's one of the weaknesses we have in Liberia. You know, we tend to justify sometimes we are all one people, we are interrelated. Liberia is not the only country that have interrelated people. Every nation have interrelated people. We should not use that lazy excuse. It's a lazy excuse. Even in our family, when our children misbehave, don't we take action?
Of course we do.
I mean, that's tough love. You love your child, but you want to spank him to tell him what he's doing is not good. Because the more you're not going to be there to spoon feed, you will be gone. And you want him to represent you well. So as a nation, we cannot be giving excuses that we are interrelated, so it's difficult to fight corruption. No. And look, discipline is part of life. Whether in personal life or in public life, discipline is part of life. So there's no way we can circumvent it. And a nation that is not disciplined, that nation is not headed for success. That nation is not headed for progress.
077-0175-162. That's the number to call to be live on the program Integrity Watch. Yes, he said, any nation that will refuse to discipline, that nation is not ready for progress. Indeed, the rule of law must be respected by everyone. The law should be above everyone. It should not be seen at one point. Or the reason why justice, you see at the temple of justice, you see is blindfolded. Justice is blindfolded is because when it's been dispensed, it is dispensed not in favor or against, but just as it should be. But if justice start to see at one point, they see partisan, they see relative, then it becomes a problem. Let's take this caller. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Things are going well. Let's hear you. How are you? About okay. All right, so we're going to publish it on our website as soon as it is done. Give us next week. We're just concluding little things. As soon as that is done, we're going to publish it on our website and we announce the website address. But we have the 2021 report on our website. It's central.org.lr. cental.org.lr. You can check there and find the one for 2021. This 2022 one will be published by next week, hopefully. Thank you very much. 077-0175-162. I mean, so when it happens like that, when the rule of law start to see partisans, it start to see cronies, it start to see, I mean, forget about that person, that my interest. I mean, then you see now how we can find ourselves into the problem. So let's take this caller. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Gajiwa Brown calling from Baptist Seminary.
Mr. Brown, let's hear you.
Yeah, thank you for the talk and thank you. You spoke very well. Corruption is a very, very serious issue in our country, meaning in Africa. No country is free from corruption, we know that, but we all can join and fight corruption. The only way you can fight corruption in your nation until you come together, unity. And then countries that are lacking unity for corruption to move in our country is very difficult. Let's look at the Western world. For example, countries like America. Nobody is saying that America is 100% free from corruption. But you can see unity in America. Nobody is above the law. Any country that you don't fight corruption, the law has to be 100% for everybody. Not what you do. You can choose in the law. That country will suffer. So Liberia, we need to come together and fight corruption. Corruption is very, very bad. Corruption makes you can't get good health care, you can't get good education. So we need to get together and fight corruption. Thank you for the topic.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. Your points are well noted. 077-0175-162. That's the number to call to be live on the program Integrity Watch. It's a 1 hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. We are live on Truth 96.1 FM. We're talking about the upcoming International Anti-Corruption Day. So there are different activities ongoing to commemorate the day. So today we have in studio Mr. James Kingsley, and we're talking about the day, the celebration. He outlined the different activities and then the debate that will be going on today. What time the debate is starting?
The debate should be on our way by now.
Okay. So the debate on the way currently at where is it taking place?
University of Liberia Auditorium.
Okay, the UL Auditorium. So if you are around there, you can just make your way there and be able to listen to the debates and listen to some of the things the guys are offering. I mean, sometimes it's good to attend these things. It helps to
from that culture of impunity to a culture of accountability. That transition is slow, but it's coming gradually. It's coming gradually. So what is required to sustain that is consistency in what we do in the anti-corruption community. We have to be consistent until people begin to believe us. Take, for example, you are a pastor, you're preaching to somebody 20 years, that person is not saved. But one Sunday you preach and the person got saved. You imagine what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You know what joy it brings to you. Eh?
Okay.
So in this case, we are looking for converts. We're trying to convert people from the practice of corruption to the culture of integrity and accountability.
Okay.
So it's not going to happen overnight. It's not, allow us to enjoy ourselves. You know, I have one friend at the commission who used to say, this job is not worth doing. Other people can be enjoying like policemen going after them. You know?
Okay. So another thing that we in fact I listen to almost most public officials, in fact, I've listened to this thing about government official working hour. I mean, those are all forms of corruption. We're supposed to be to work at 8 o'clock, and then we tell people that we're supposed to the code of conduct say from 8 to 5. But I listen to officials, government officials, ministers, in fact, will say government work supposed to start at 9 o'clock. I mean, I don't know where they're getting the information from.
During the Madam Salif government, there was one Independence Day ratio I listened to by Dr. Russell from the Tubman University.
Okay.
And the thrust of that message was on servant leadership. What we need like very servant leadership when you lead by example.
Okay.
If you want people to report to work at 8 o'clock at the head of the institution, be there 7:30. Psychologically, are you saying a word to anybody that will be there on time? You know what you're telling them? You are institutionalizing a value of punctuality. If you can be there as a head, they don't have an excuse not to be there. So they have a choice. Either they choose to align with you with the value of the institution that you are building, or they step out. But nobody who is sensible and reasonable enough will come to work consistently late and meet his or her boss in office and think that you will get away with it. In your mind, psychologically, you think this guy is setting me up. One day he's going to ask me to leave.
But I mean, the reason why I brought this up because I wanted you also have a role to play in terms of prevention
Yeah.
to make sure that these things don't happen. Do you care to improve as part of your education and prevention
We have
program?
been doing that. We are doing risk assessment.
Mhm.
And when we do risk assessment, we review the HR practices.
Okay.
Take, for example, we take the HR attendance and we review it and see whether people are reporting to work on time. That is part of the accountability. That is part of, we review their recruitment processes to see people on staff, how they were recruited.
I want to get more about that. What have you found? Because what we've gathered so far from agencies and ministries, lists were sent.
For example, without stating name,
Mm-hmm.
we went to one institution and we found out that they said they advertised their vacancy announcement through a public service announcement.
Okay.
And that was weird. What happened to the executive marshal website? What happened to your own personal web? I mean, the institution's website. So if you did that, you got a small cycle of people who access that information. So the competitiveness that you characterize that recruitment process was not there.
No, but I mean, it still cannot suffice because if you did advertisement, maybe you advertise it on the radio, it means that there were transactions with you and the radio
But
station.
instead, limited, you should have at least across government, the major engine, in addition to your person to the institution website, is the executive marshal website.
So in this instance, in such an instance where institutions maybe they got listing that came where people don't even know, they don't have QR.
Yes.
People just stand around ministry call particular names.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Transport.
Yeah.
People are standing outside and they call themselves expediter. They haven't
I agree.
You go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, people are standing
and those
there.
Those are some of the things we need to address.
And they're stealing from people, they're extorting from people.
How can you employ somebody without a term of reference? What do you owe him or her accountable to?
So in that instance, what do you do as LACC?
We make recommendation to the institution that you need to improve this particular practice, and we follow up those recommendations to ensure that
which institution you follow up on.
We do that, but I don't want to mention institute. For example, let me talk about something that is an open knowledge.
Okay.
The Liberia Electricity Corporation.
Yes.
The way they were the risk assessment. I mean, their practices, the bull, and the ineffectiveness of the bull and all of that, and we pointed them out, and they were very angry. But this was evidence-based research. We didn't generate information from outside. We generated the information based on interview we conducted with people on staff.
Okay.
Yes.
So have you made follow-up? Are there some level?
Well, I heard a policy statement from the Ministry of Finance one time. Basically, what the risk assessment discovered that LACC did not have the necessary capacity to effectively manage the electricity services in Liberia. And so we need to subdivide the country into different regions and bid for different electricity companies to provide electricity services so that we can have effective electricity services.
So that was based on the risk assessment?
Yes, that was based on the risk assessment. At least a policy statement was made regarding it. It's just my hope that we'll be able to follow through on that.
I mean, this is very important because it's seriously undermining productivity, service delivery. People are being paid. I mean, they don't even report to work. Some of the ministries, they have their payrolls are all blocked. I mean, but we paying these people a huge amount of money. I understand 90% of our budget go to salaries.
Yeah, between 85 to 90%.
Yeah, and then we don't receive
the institution
return.
Budget is strictly on personnel.
So all of these people that we're paying, what services are they rendering? When we can't have water, we got people living. They have to be drinking from creeks. We can have electricity stable. We can have roads. But yet we're paying people with huge amount of money, and then what is the return to us as people of Liberia?
That's why it's important to go back to the mandate of the institution and begin to do assessment as to. You need to know as a manager or as head of institution how many persons you can work with to deliver on that mandate. When it's oversized, of course, you are going to have people who will sit there and gossip and file their nails and keep conversation. But when people are adequately taxed, you don't need to tell them.
So some of the things that
sit behind their decks.
Some of the assessment that you carry out, like for instance, in one ministry, you got minister, deputy minister for administration, assistant minister for administration, director for administration. What all of these people doing? What are the different roles? What are the TORs? What do they do? So one person can perform this task. You have to have all of these people: assistant minister, assistant director, minister of this work, minister.
In some cases, you have administrative assistant to a particular the deputy minister or assistant minister. You have executive secretary to the particular. So the thing is, sometimes we think that government is benevolence. Government is not benevolent.
So
because you have to generate the necessary resources to be able to pay people. And you know what we are doing? That is one of the bad functions of the kind of benevolent government that we run. It's better to have. And this could be debate. This is subject to argument. But in normal administrative practice, it's good to have a few persons who are
effective,
who are competent, and pay them well so that they have the requisite motivation to be able to program. But in this case, we have our people so they don't have less training. So the people who are professional that are putting in their time very well and getting very little, they are not happy. But people who are down the line, not putting in anything, they go and sit down, file their days and run their. But why when you get in the ticket, they don't have anything. So if we have a viable private sector, the likelihood is that people might get into the private sector. You go and say in private sector, you will work through because the work will not be paid, or you will be well incentivized. Or you prefer to be well incentivized and work more as compared to working everywhere you go in public service. If you want the best, they are going to use you. It doesn't translate to more benefits.
Let's get the practical comments regarding the programs and when the program started tomorrow.
Well, the program tomorrow is starting. The mini Olympic anti-corruption awareness is supposed to be happening in both people football at the commission. Friday, the parade will begin at the SKD Sports Complex Junction.
SKD Boulevard.
SKD Boulevard Junction. And we'll parade from there to the SKD Sports Complex. And in your program at the basketball.
All right, thank you so much. His name is Mr. James Kingsley. He's the program manager at the Education and Prevention Division at the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. So we're talking about.
And then before we close, I just want to talk about our partners. They are supporting us. They are the Chinese embassy, the UNDP, the government of Sweden, and Sinta as well, and the UNDP. We just want to acknowledge that they are supporting us.
All right, thank you so much. So my name is Sam Zota. I'm the Media and Communications Officer at Sinta. My colleague Mark Bandau has been behind the camera, making sure our visibility goes beyond the studio. Join us next week, Wednesday, for another edition of the program. Better still, Sunday, 9 to 10 is a repeat. Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.